Hello, folks, and welcome to the GhostÉire Channel. My name's Anthony Kerrigan, and tonight we're bringing you a sort of episode which is kind of different. A live, as live, investigation of the Temperance Hall in Kinsale, County Cork. So this is behind the scenes investigation that GhostÉire have conducted, and you'll get to see it. We'll be bringing you the history, also the manifestation and legend, the statistics behind the investigation, the baseline tests. Also, we'll be also going through the experiments, equipment, and the sessions involved, and also the conclusion. So you'll be seeing footage in a minute of the investigation, and we'll be doing a bit of a conclusion later on. So we're in the Temperance Hall. This was from last May 2022, and this is situated in Kinsale, County Cork. So I'm just going to go through a bit of the history here before we carry on with the footage. So I'm going to talk about the history. So here it goes there. The Community Space Hall was constructed in 1885 by the League of the Cross, a temperance society established in Liverpool. It is situated on the Market Quay, Emmett Place, Silene, Kinsale, in County Cork. So it's right in the town centre. The temperance movement was a social campaign against the consumption of alcohol. People who took part in the movement promoted teetotalism, the promotion of total individual abstinence from alcoholic beverages whilst being teetotal. The League of Cross was set up by the Roman Catholic Voluntary Association of Lay People by Cardinal Henry Edward Manning, 1808 to 1892, with an aim to improve religious, social, and domestic conditions. The main aims of the League were to pledge total abstinence and taken without limit as the time. Only Catholics could be members, that all members shall live as good, practical Catholics, and no one who is not a practical Catholic shall, as long as he fails to practice his religion, hold any office in the League. The building has 2 floors, presenting many artistic architectural features. The slate roof has a ceramic ridge tiles with fleur-de-lis decoration and a cruciform at the front apex. So you can see that at the top of the building, it has a like a little crucifix on the top of it. The building also has red bricks, blocks, and yellow brick keystones. The keystones are the top stone. You might just see it there in the picture above the window. That surround the round-headed windows and a door and a circular window at the rear. The Temperance Hall sits today in an area which was infilled and reclaimed at the end of the 18th century from originally wet and marshy land. So actually the Temperance Hall used to, well, the land which the Temperance Hall is in Kinsale town used to be marshy land. It stood within the town walls and 5 main gates: Friars Gate, Cork Gate, Watergate, World's End Gate, and Nicholas Gate. The walls and gates had been mainly destroyed during the Battle of Kinsale 1601. In the 18th and 19th centuries, boatyards used to occupy Pier Road next to the Market Quay, Emmett Place. The best known ship to have been built in the town was the HMS Kinsale at the Admiralty Dockyard at World's End in 1705. So World's End is an area in Kinsale, it's just near the town. Fishing was another important job to have in the area. A total of 4,612 men and boys were employed on the fishing boats in 1829. So that's the history of the Temperance Hall. Just a few shout outs. Hi, Neve from Back in Time Paranormal. How you doing, Neve? Hope you're having a great Sunday. Hope you're keeping dry. I know it's a bit wet there. I don't in Wexford, Waterford, but I hope you keep. And Stuart as well. Hi, Stuart and Eve. It's great to have you there, and I hope you had a great. If you were there at Duckett's Grove yesterday, I hope you had a great investigation as well. So yes, folks, I'll go through the stats in a minute, the baseline tests that we did at the location. We do this on every investigation we do with GhostÉire to just to plot what the temperature, the humidity is around the air. It just gives a fine line to what happened during the investigation. So if we're feeling stuff there might be the environment that's causing it, or some other reason that we should take into note from the environment. So next, folks, we're going to just talk about the haunting, the history of the location or the area around it, the Temperance Hall. The lanes close to Market Quay, Emmett Place, are reported to be haunted by a ghostly fisherman who is said to walk down to the quayside, then vanishes. The road from the fort to Desmond Castle, Pass Bay, close to the Temperance Hall, is said to see a ghost of a white lady. In Julian Hawthorne's minor vampire story, Ken's Mystery, 1883, it is said to be based on the encounter with a phantom woman who travelled from the fort to Desmond Castle, where she vanished. Now, this can be found on the paranormal database, this type of haunting that happens supposedly around the town of Kinsale. We'll go more into Charles Fort later on. We're going to be starting to show the footage soon. We just had Joan. How you doing, Joan? Hope you keep well. Hi, Joan from Ireland. Hi, Joan. I hope you're in Ireland. Oh, you're in Ireland there. I hope you're keeping well. I'm in Killarney at the moment. It's kind of dry at the moment, which is kind of good. So I'm just going to go through the bit of the stats, the baseline stats. Thank you, Joan, for tuning in. So we had the waning gibbous moon, 98% of full. Astrological significance, it is difficult to stay grounded as it is a mystifying period, yet mystically with Neptune and Mars together in Pisces, beautiful visions soon dissolve in a mist. Feel the spiritual side and let go of it. Be aware of illusions, memory lapses, and accidents. So this is what this astrological significance was for the investigation. EMF was kind of high in the building in the main hall, which is the ground floor. We had 2 rooms to work in, the main hall at the bottom, the attic room at the top, just 2 rooms. Forecast was for rain showers. It got even worse than that, was thunderstorms, heavy rain, which we'll see in the footage. External temperature 15.4 degrees outside. Internal temperature 17.8, so it was kind of warmer inside than outside. Humidity 63%. Altitude 10 meters. We weren't that far above sea level. Planetary K index, which was 2, so this is what was happening from space. You could say like solar flares and all that, so it's kind of just below average there. Lux was 0.30. So it's 30, which is the lighting, how much lighting was in the building. So it was kind of getting darker in the area, especially the dark clouds coming over. Decibel level was fairly moderate. We were right in the town centre, so sounds could be heard from everywhere. Most active room area, the attic room, which was above, on top. Type of manifestation, supposedly intelligent, so they're able to communicate. Time duration was from 8:30 p.m. to about 1:30 a.m., so we had about 5-6 hours. We were there beforehand, but the investigation didn't start till around about 8:30 p.m. False anomaly risk was moderate, so there was an even chance, of false anomalies like sound, sight, seeing stuff on cameras. There's loads of carpet around, so there was a load of dust, maybe orbs and all that. And preface was very good, so it's easy to get around. Not far to go up and down to different rooms, easy to access everywhere, comfortable to work in. You're not going to hit your head off anywhere or fall down a hole, which was kind of good. Investigators you'll see on the footage was myself, Anthony Kerrigan, 85 investigations, Jennifer Kerrigan, my wife, 62 investigations, Sinead Houlihan, 44 investigations, and Vinny Long, who started with us. This is his first investigation. You'll see him on the footage as well. Joan, how you doing? Hi, I'm great. Yes, I'm from Artlow. Oh, love to you there in Artlow there. I've got news on a convention coming up soon in Wexford there, so it's be very close to yourselves there, So Day of the Unexplained, go and tune into that there if you're interested in coming to see loads of good speakers from the paranormal and ufology world. That's next February the 18th. So folks, without further ado, I'm going to go and bring you on to an investigation with GhostÉire. I don't really show this to people. Usually we keep it for the books or for, just for our own interest. We don't usually put these investigations up on Facebook or any social or website or anything. Hi Therese, how you doing? How are you keeping, Therese? So sit back. Oh, the other thing as well, if you've got earphones, go and get some earphones. Whilst I'm talking, I'm just going to say, if you have any questions, go to our website, www.ghostére.net. Go to the contact page, fill in the blanks. If you have a private message, just put in brackets private message. If you're affiliated with any paranormal group or tourist attraction, feel name the group or the organizations, and we'll give a shout out to you. We're also coming live through the red button, the GhostÉire channel from the website. You can watch from there as well. We'll come back to you there. I'm just going to show the video. So it's going to be 40 minutes in, and then I'm going to have a little break, and then I'm going to discuss what is happening in that time. So this is the Temperance Hall. Enjoy, folks. Grab a quick cuppa. We're in Kinsale, and we're near World's End.
Out. Yeah.
Recording, is it? We're on this mat?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
Out. Yeah. One.
Positive spirit. That's negative word.
S.
H. O. C. Okay.
Yeah. So going.
Yeah, just like a yeah and a name. Just gives a name to respect to yourself that we can refer to you. You might be able to get your identity later on as in the facial features, but if you can get us a name. C. I. A. O. A. Okay, can you tell us what year? What? 8. 5. 6. So Kara, you're from 1856, is that correct? No. 1. 8. 5. 6. Is that what it is now? No. Okay. Y. O. U. L. O. O. K. D. I. F. F. E. R. A. T.
Difference.
Yeah.
Alright, bro, how you feeling?
Yeah, good.
Okay. Stop that recording now.
I could feel tingling on my right hand when I said it there. When I said it there, it was like electricity going on my fingers. It was strange. It was going on my tongue, going on my finger.
Electricity?
Yeah, yeah. But I'm holding to Chris's as well, right? And I'm just on a clear horse. I feel electricity come down my tongue and down my finger, or down on top of my finger, but I can feel electricity in my hands every day anyway.
Right.
This is strong, man. It's in this round as well, it's strong.
Alright. So when I'm not asking a question, I'm just doing over. You can just look around. Just watch now, there's a tripod.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's just the thunder there, folks. We're in the middle of Kinsale. We're up near Will's End. So, any spirits come through. Okay, there's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T. U, V, W, X, Y, Z, and 1 and 0. Can you tell us where can we sense you in the brain?
5 again.
Okay. Is it 5 areas? W.
H. A. L.
T.
T, sorry, T, yeah. Y. U. C. A.
Okay, Des, but how many is it altogether, please?
T. S.
I don't know if it's spelling out something, is it?
What is it? E. E.
What you can't see.
What you can't see. Okay, so it's something like we can't see. Okay, I'm just going to go through the questions, Des, but what part of the brain is useful for forcing objects to move on our plane for you? 1. Okay, is that the position of 1 on the brain in the diagram?
Yes.
Yes. That's just thunder for the camera. Is there any part of the brain that shuts down the rest of the brain before leaving this realm? Any part of the brain that shuts down?
A. B. 3.
Okay. So I'll just repeat that.
B. 3.
B3.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going to...
That's a bit strange there.
I've got 8 questions. Is there any part of the brain you utilise to change into alternative realms? To go into different realms? Is there any part of the brain that you use the most to drop in and out of realms? H.
4.
4. Is this the amount of times you use that segment, that area?
No.
Just the part of the brain, H.
Yes.
Yes. What part of our brain is useless for detecting you? Is there a part of the brain which is useless for detecting you? Zero. Is that the part of the brain, disparate, section 0?
Yes.
Is there any area of the brain that you can feel the pain in?
2.
Can you tell us which 2 sections are they of the brain? might mean that as a segment twice. Okay. What area of the brain's memory do we dream? Where do we dream ourselves? As in, my name's Anthony. 6. That's 6 areas, dear Spirit.
Here.
Can you give us those areas? Can you give us those areas, those regions of the brain? Is there any area of the brain that sparks your consciousness? B? B1. Are they both areas? Okay. B1. Okay. So we'll leave that at
I don't know, there's like any B there, so there's B1, yeah, the very top there.
Parietal lobe. Parietal lobe. Your auditory association cortex. Sound. So I'm going to ask you a set of questions, dear Spirit, and asking you to come through really, channel through them. Is death easy to endure? Come towards us, step forward, dear Spirit. If we were love towards you, would that make your connection grow? Does shock depend on opinion? If we elected a fiver, would that be a comfortable issue? Were there stars that you saw? Now, are you feeling anything, Vinny? No.
Fingers in my hands.
Yeah, hands are tingling.
What creates the emotion of love within you? does the word silver mean?
M O O M-O-J-L, is it? Whatever Moja means.
Moja.
Mojo, was it? Do you have a second name?
Yes.
Could you tell us what your second name is? Maka.
What's that? Was it? J.
M-A-K-A.
M-A-K.
L-A-K, Laka.
Oh, Laka.
Laka.
Laka. What realm are you in at the moment?
Nine. Is it 9-9?
Ninth realm.
Yes. G-O-O. Good.
That was me, sorry, I said good.
R E L M. What's that mean? S U T R Sutra. Sutra. What is that? K N O L E D G E. Knowledge.
Can you tell us who owns the glove?
Yes. M K Mick K M O L E D G E. Knowledge. Make knowledge. M O R moral.
No, more knowledge, was it? More knowledge, more.
Make knowledge more higher.
Make knowledge more higher. Okay.
B E C U S E, because L O W low. C A B O U T without. Y O U R your. E N E R G Y. Noble journey. Spirit is probably saying that now because my energy.
Oh, right, yeah, it's towards you.
Yeah. M K make M O R E more K N O L E D G E knowledge more higher after love chant.
Okay. Here to converse, to communicate, to talk.
I think I saw something shoot up there, but I'm not sure if by you, Anthony, your right hand.
Back is just all freezing now. The bin, the glove, the energy. Oh, Jesus, got surged out. Be cosmic. Tables feeling as if
Oh, something flew past there on the camera, like little dust-like object, but there's no dust up here, maybe, isn't there?
Feel it. Turning up my arms.
Yeah, there's a bit of a feeling now. And what's the story of the white lady? She walk amongst here.
Oh, got electric shock in my hand. Yeah.
Electric shock.
Yeah, the hand. Shock. Yeah.
The white lady is here. Come and walk amongst us.
I'm getting a hold in my left hand as well.
Did you get it?
Yeah. Like even cramping up.
Okay.
Maybe it's the glove or something, is it? Like, yeah.
I can feel the vibrations now, yeah, sorry.
Push through.
Present. 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 Self. Present. Self. Present.
Are you here with us? Yeah.
Self-present. Oh, that's my arm, I can feel it. It's taking.
Could be on the table.
Oh no, yeah, I don't get the control now. Okay, spirit guides, can you step forward? Okay. If you're here, can talk. Maybe use your voice on the outside.
Whisper to us.
Okay, that's me. Okay. Take.
I saw it in my right arm there.
Take. Yeah. Save. Confused. Take that person.
Let go there. Do you live in the town here, or are you visiting through? Were you shipped out to sea?
Just gonna flash the camera.
Okay. I can see the eagle. Eagle and a boat. I know you're trying to come through, but there's a difference. Mystery.
fly in the air. It's so cool.
Weird, like.
Yeah. You got something coming through there.
I don't know, like, I feel
I feel
I
like
feel
I was
sadness,
having some
though.
more optical illusion.
sadness, I might start crying, like that, but emotional.
Yeah, yeah. All good?
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
good. It's not. It's less. It was. You know, as in like previous times. It's not. I suppose this was. I don't know. I feel more female. Previous times being
Someone was sent
masculine.
away or something. Did you feel like something was being sent away or?
I don't know what was. I don't know. I can't. I don't. What was it saying?
Shame, shame. Have you sent away? I can't see. I can't hear.
Like sorrow.
Like,
Sorrow.
Yeah.
I didn't get that word, but I think that's what you were saying as well. So maybe that was it.
I'm
Yeah.
trapped.
Yeah. Can't speak and hear. Shame. Don't want to be here. Sent away. Yeah.
Oh, I don't.
Maybe some.
I don't. Honestly, I don't know. Like I don't do fucking clearances or anything like that. No. So I would give it 4 questions there and see. So that's nothing. Was there any spirit present with us during that seance? Any person?
Answer the questions, brother, please. Question. More what make joy.
Was that?
Feel energy more.
Is there anything to do? Is there a lady present?
Answer the question, please. Why?
Just a lady, son. A fair lady.
No. I believe so. I believe therefore so.
She's stuck.
Okay, yeah. No. 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 More knowledge for a woman.
She
Joy.
Joy, yeah. Was it can't feel or she can't see?
Can't see or hear.
Here. So she was like that. There must have been something. She's in the dark then. She's not
I
hearing.
don't know what kind of dark is.
Yeah, what type of does that even signify? Yeah.
Are you
Can't see or hear.
It's T. Hat.
hat?
And what? Hat and joy.
Hat and joy.
Yeah.
Who's Jen's hat?
Joy.
B.
that's something else that needs.
Is it the lady, is it the white lady? Is it the bride?
Yes. What happened to the white lady?
Or the lady dressed in white, or the bride, or
Good Johnny Rose.
Okay, folks, I hope you made sense of that there. I know the sound might be that. I said beforehand there, you probably need headphones, earphones to listen in. The first bit of the investigation, we were quiet because we had to remain quiet so that the person above in the attic room, Vinny, who could see the red light blindfolded, he needed to be kept. What we were saying down below him had to be kept quiet so that he couldn't hear. So it might seem a bit confusing about the investigation. There's another 10 minutes onto it there, but I'm going to explain what you might have just seen right now there shortly. So it all makes sense there about what we were doing, what was unfolding, and what was coming together there, and what the experiments we're doing. If you have any questions, feel free to put them forward. First of all, so 1 second, just do this. 1 second there. So the town of Kinsale has been known to see a hive of activity. Locals and tourists flock to its streets to taste the fine cuisine from the various restaurants that it boasts, which has given it the title the gourmet capital of Ireland. It is rich in history too, with buildings such as Charles Fort, James's Fort, St. Moto's Church and Desmond Castle. It has also seen the Battle of Kinsale of 1601. Even the ghost of the White Lady and fishermen have been witnessed on occasion wandering the town, not sticking to the distinctive trait of belonging to one particular area or building. Nowadays, it's the lanes and footpaths that hold the key to likely seeing a ghost in Kinsale. The Temperance Hall in the heart of the town centre offered us the opportunity to avoid the busy town life and also afforded us the chance to explore its objective past, in line with the teetotalism movement, which we had never experienced at any other site previous to this. We had not only be wary of the noise from outside, but also be wise to the sounds created from group members above in the attic room or below in the main hall. These were the two main areas we'd mainly operate in, and they were right over or under each other. In order for one of the tests to run properly, the trigger word experiment, which you might have seen at the beginning, we were getting words, 5 positive words from the spirit, 5 negative words from the spirit, unknown to Vinny on top. We'll be doing an EEG later on in an investigation. We mention these words without him knowing in between sentences, see how his brain reacts to positive words or negative words. So we did a trigger word experiment. It was crucial that the information obtained from the spirit in the first talking board session, the 5 positive words and the 5 negative words, were kept secret, away from one group member, Vinny, who would later try to channel the same spirit whilst wearing an EEG device that monitors the brain's electrical activity. That was the thing you might have seen on the left of the screen, which was going up and down, this kind of graph kind of thing, bars going up and down. Vinny was blindfolded and left alone in the attic room to do an altered electrostatic communication test, whilst the rest of the team quietly went about seeking the trigger words on the talking board down below in the main hall. So this is just a bit, this is interesting. So we're trying to get these trigger words. Now, these trigger words are things the spirit are familiar with to awaken their consciousness. If we're talking to spirits that have a mind or a consciousness, obviously they must be able to connect in to special words that may ignite their consciousness or become familiar to them. So we asked them beforehand what they are there and see if they can channel through Vinny. The main hall. Vinny had felt tingling on his right hand, unbeknown to him at the same point in time. The anatomical model of the brain, you might have seen it on the footage, it fell off the table, had fallen off the maglev ring carrier. The octagonal base of the maglev does generate a magnetic field. Vinny was sitting directly above the maglev in the attic room. This may have caused a tingling sensation in his right hand, so the electromagnetic field coming up from down below might have caused his hand to tingle. This may have caused static electricity, could be the other explanation, maybe because of an ensuing thunderstorm approaching. So there was a thunderstorm there, if you could hear it in the background. However, the electroscope apparatus that you might have seen a blue light where Vinny was, that was used in the room to detect electric charges or ionizing radiation in the air, failed to react to any changes. Vinny possibly mentioned to Anthony at the end of the session that there was a strong male around, a man. This was the only moment through the night that a male presence was presumably close by. Yet again, later on, Vinny possibly stated tingling in his hands after the channeling exercise, which was with the brain. And it wasn't to stop there. So this was with brain device, he was feeling tingling there as well. Sinead stated during the seance that she's got an electric shock in my hand. Less than a minute beforehand, Anthony mentioned Jen's hand being sweaty. What's this about? I don't know. Electrical pulses in her hand, hands being sweaty on the table. Sinead had taken Jen's spot on the table, and although Sinead's hands might have been moist, it would not stop her from getting a static shock. Further from being paranormal, could the nylon carpet be to blame for holding the static charges? So there's, as you see on the floor, there's nylon carpet there. Well, it is a possibility, as friction can cause the fibers in the material to charge up, transfer the body, and then by touching a metal object like a ring on a finger, which I got on my hand, on Anthony's hand, next to Sinead's hand, or a chain in a pendulum, which Vinny was holding during the electrostatic communication test, then there is the probability of receiving a slight shock or tingling on the hands. So there is a possibility when you touch a metal and you're on a carpet, nylon carpet, your hands are a bit wet, sweaty, there's a thunderstorm brewing, whatever, it doesn't mean if it's a thunderstorm, there's a lot of static, you're pushing up against people walking in and out, there is a chance you can get a shock. The model brain fell off the ring carrier as the negative word death was being spelled out on the board, yet it could be seen spinning at a fast pace on the ring carrier earlier. Rest assured, it was momentum that caused it to become unbalanced and fall off the ring carrier to the side of the optical base. So this little thing behind me, you see the brain here, the brain was rotating on a device called a maglev, sort of levitates it using a magnetic field, and it's so because it was spinning around so much that gradually it fell off the ring carrier, so it wasn't paranormal. During this session, the 5 positive words that came up on the board were clam, hot, glove, stars, and love. So these were the positive words the spirit mentioned. And the 5 negative words were death, lost, fiver, silver, and shock, which is interesting because we're all getting shocks. And it came through on the board that that was a negative word for the spirit before anyone knew about it. Anthony had expressed heat on his hand just after the second letter of the word hot had come up on the board. It was rather foreseeable or predictable to where the planchette would move next, to the letter T, obviously, H-O and then T. But apart from that, it gave the emphasis for Anthony to highlight that sensation. Furthermore, as it was a positive word, the spirit may be displaying gratitude towards Anthony, the word hot, signaling how it felt at the present moment. So the spirit that was coming forward, her name was Kira. She was from 1856, but was quite baffled by the way the team looked. So that is interesting. So she was baffled to how the team looked. Clam, the word clam. This is interesting. If you're into words and all that now, this is an interesting thing. Clam was considered a positive word for Kira. It was the first positive word up on the talking board. A clam is a marine bivalve mollusk, a sea creature with a shell in 2 parts that can close together tightly, and a soft body that can be eaten. The ground in which the Temperance Hall sits on today was reclaimed at the end of the 1700s or being originally on wet land. Clams can be dug up today at Sandy Cove Creek near James's Fort. So if you know Kinsale, James's Fort, clams can still be picked up today there. Men would fish at sea whilst women gathered shellfish on shore. Collecting clams might have been a worthy task for Kira to do. Clam is also a synonym for an American dollar, as shells were used as units of exchange by Native Americans well into the 19th century. Maybe Kira was hinting on where she was originally from. It wasn't the only monetary slang word referred to in the experiment. Fiver, a £5 note, British, or $5 bill, North American, was cited as a negative word. We can't find the reason why the word fiver was put in a negative bracket by Kira. Silver was plundered by the Spanish conquistadors after the discovery of America. During the 19th century, the main production of silver was moved to North America. Silver was once called lunar acoustic by ancient alchemists who believed it to be associated with the moon. The silver cord in metaphysical studies connects the physical body to the etheric body. Silver coins are linked to death. As a custom, Greeks, Romans, and also the Celts placed silver coins over the eyes or under the tongue of a deceased person as a fare for passage to the afterlife. So what we're wondering why the word silver was negative to Kira. So we find out probably that it could be to do with probably where she was from, where it was highly looked for. As you can see, there's Vinny there. He's got a pendulum and he's using this what called a suture board. So what we see from there in the first suture board session, the spirit, presumably Kira, expressed pessimism towards silver, probably because it made her feel sloppy. Now, it made her weak. That's what she's saying. And that she needed more magical power or spell, mojo, which is an interesting word, mojo, to possibly make the understanding and awareness enhance. Vinny pointed out that more knowledge would be gained after the seance was done with a love chant. So mojo, I don't know if you know what the word mojo means. Mojo means magic. It needs more magic. We didn't know that till after we researched what the word meant. Mojo means magic. So when you get your mojo, you get your magic, you get your boost. So it needed more mojo with a seance to get going and more energy. From the second suture board session after this seance, we learned that the spirit, that of a lady, was feeling more energy and that there was joy, in particular over a hat that belonged to her. So this seance must have been a success. Yet why? The word glove had a desirable meaning for the spirit of Kira. In English folklore, picking up a glove should only be done by a lover. This originates from the medieval era, with the glove representing the hope of love and a promise. If it is picked up by someone you love, if it's picked up by someone you love, the glove, then it's a promise. The negative word of shock may have been related to a terrible situation that had occurred. Kira's death may have been a tragedy, but there are some clues that might link her to the White Lady of Kinsale. So we might be getting on the grips of knowing who Kira was. She might be the White Lady of Kinsale. If you have any questions, people, feel free to put them forward. So we're going to the seance. It was in the seance that we came across the spirit giving the details on a type of timeline of possible events that led up to the White Lady's death, including the aftermath, and then concluded with its recognition of us being present. Anthony May had served as a medium for the female spirit. So myself, I felt that I wasn't really there. It's called transmediumship, when you let a spirit come forward. They use your body as a conduit to come forward. So we're going to go and touch a bit on the detail of who the White Lady is, or the story behind the White Lady. The story of the White Lady goes like this. Sir Trarthur Ashurst, a soldier at Charles Fort, married a local girl named Wilful Warrender, the daughter of Governor Warrender, who was the commander of the fort. On the same day, later that evening, the newlyweds walked the grounds of the fort, whereupon Wilful noticed some beautiful flowers, or a single white flower, at the foot of the battlement. So Trevor obliged to climb down and collect the flowers for her, but instead an on-duty sentry volunteered to climb down and collect the flower for her to do the errand. So Trevor took the man's place as guard and waited. Meanwhile, Wilful returned to her living quarters to get some rest. So Trevor was waiting for the sentry to return, but to no avail. He fell asleep. Governor Warrender went on to his nightly inspection and saw a sentry leaning against the wall. He called out to the sentry, but there was no answer. Angered by the sentry being asleep on duty, he shot him through the heart. Oof. He didn't realize until afterwards that he had killed his own son-in-law. Distraught, the governor threw himself from the battlements. Soon after awakening from her sleep, Wilful returned to the sentry's post to see if her husband was still there, yet only to find him dead. Grief-stricken on being told what had happened, she jumped from one of the ramparts into the icy waters below. From this day forward, she is known as the White Lady and has been seen wandering the fort and town in a wedding dress. The word, now this is what it means now. So the word willful means intentioned or headstrong. There is no conclusive evidence of a willful Warrender having lived or married on the fort or in the town of Kinsale. In fact, her name may have been devised, made up, and can be summarized with the expression willful by name, willful by nature, as a reflection, in particular, the characteristic that she had displayed. For all intents and purposes, Willful was adamant to get what she wanted, which was flowers. We are unsure whether this misfortunate event happened, yet it may have served as a moral story, the ability to do right from wrong in situations. There is a reasonable amount of telltale signs from the silence that the tragedy did occur, though. Anthony got a surge, that's what I said, as he talked about the glove linked to Kira. The electric shock Sinead had received was after Anthony asked the question, and what's the story of the White Lady? Does she walk amongst here? So we were getting shocks after we mentioned the White Lady. Maybe Kira predetermined the negative word of shock as a factor that would transpire on our physical bodies as a result of the White Lady. It is possible that they are the same entity. The following are the words Anthony mentioned in the silence that would suggest the time foregoing the White Lady's death. So this was before, so it's like a story. It's like not a story. It's like a timeline of what I was saying was kind of linked to what the White Lady was from, her tragedy, and what happened afterwards. So the eagle and the boat could be an example of Native American people arriving in Europe from overseas. There was a mystery towards the spirit, the White Lady, or Kira, and an elegance. Anthony stated fair hair, red hair. Native Americans had a different diet than that of European counterparts, receiving a great deal of their vitamin D from the fish that they ate. Although sharing the same sunlight in latitudes, the densely shaded, forested environment of Europe would make vitamin D intake more difficult, hence the paler pigmentation with Europeans. So the North American people would have a more darker complexion than Europeans. So it would all depend on the diet and the surroundings to how an individual would look. The grey-white dress, white roses. I remember I mentioned white roses during that, and there's in the tail there's supposed to be white roses, which I didn't even know about. Screaming, shivers, and shame that Anthony and Sinead spoke of fits accordingly with the circumstances leading up to the White Lady's demise. So it comes up to the point where she throws herself off into the battlements. Sent away and take forever to come here might have been the state of affairs after her death, traveling from one place to be present with the team. So maybe she was coming from one area to where we were present in the Temperance Hall. The consequences of channeling through Anthony may have led to the spirit, White Lady, or Kira identifying his face as her own. As I said, same face is gone, with the inability to sense what was happening around. I can't see and I can't hear. So that's what came through my voices. So what was coming through me was a spirit saying, I can't see or hear, and my face has changed. So she's probably saying that she was there present. Her face has changed, and it was mine, which is freaky. On further review, what came through Anthony revealed that the spirit white lady Kira was unconcerned by people in the group. I am free of everyone here, that she couldn't feel any coldness. I have no cold, meaning where was she beforehand, which was still in the icy waters, I don't know, which might be linked to the atmosphere she had just left, though, as well. And that she felt anxiety after leaving behind those she loved. Save them all for me. It was evident at the end that the spirit white lady Kira wasn't in acceptance of our company. She wanted to get away from where we were. Information from the second sutra board session denoted that the spirit had found joy located in a hat that had belonged to it. So hopefully it had found some comfort. So there was some, during the second sutra board session with Vinny there, we found out actually the spirit had found sort of comfort. We were overjoyed. The word joy was mentioned after doing the seance, so it did actually help in some sort of way. The last words Vinny spoke from that experiment were put joy out. Maybe we did actually help solve a problem, and with what it should be enough for us to be delighted in what was achieved. We had no joy of uncovering any record of Governor Warrender nor Sir Trevor Ashurst being at the fort. So there's no actually evidence of them two gentlemen, the white lady's husband or her father, being at Charles's fort. Now this is interesting. This is proper because I've been messaging Charles Fort as well. The position of Governor Charles Fort in Kinsale was abolished after the last governor, Sir Warren Marmaduke Peacock, died in 1849. Afterwards, regiments were alternated in and out of Charles Fort on a regular basis, and because the regiments were split between Charles Fort and the military barracks in Kinsale Town, they would often rotate the regimental companies stationed in either location. Hence, the senior officer moved with his company. Military command control could have been given to a relatively low-rank officer upon the number of soldiers stationed at the fort, such as a lieutenant. So somebody lower in ranking would receive the order, would take the orders and pass them on, and they would be head of command there, which was kind of low there. So any governor there back after 1849, there wasn't. This would put a dent on any claim that the story of Wilful Warrender took place after 1849, and also Kira is linked to it with her dates of 1856 and 1865. Nevertheless, the story, if untrue and hoax, wouldn't affect the accounts that people have had in actually witnessing a white lady at the fort and in the town, and that the white lady could still be the spirit of Kira. The 99 realm was mentioned by Vinny in the second Sutra board session. In numerology, the number 99 means compassionate, idealism, and tolerant. If we go by the Messier objects, the catalogue of nebula and star clusters in the night sky, so what we see in the night sky, made by French astronomer Charles Messier, M99 is that's the St. Catherine's wheel, a spiral galaxy in the constellation Coma Perennices. Sorry for the wording. For the trigger word experiment involving a brainwave device, we could only determine Vinny's strength and meditation and attention. So I'm just going to quickly point out the EEG thing. Now this is interesting. So I'm talking about where previously what Vinny said, we've seen which realm is the spirit from, the conscious mind, and it said M99. So we're not too sure where that's from. Now on to Vinny's EEG brainwave device. If you have any questions, feel free to put them forward, or we'll show the last bit of this footage. It all makes sense in a minute. Hopefully it is. I know I'm a bit weird, bizarre, the team, what we do. Results from the EEG showed that Vinny's attention and meditation failed to be above 90% capacity immediately after 5 positive and 5 negative words, 10 in total, were announced. So his brain waves didn't actually trigger to what what was said, these trigger words, when they were mentioned, it didn't immediately get change significantly. However, there were some fascinating findings. Vinny's brain did reach over 90%, roughly in the range of 2 to 17 seconds after 5 out of 10 positive or negative words were declared by Anthony. So it did react between 2 to 17 seconds afterwards, out of 50% of those 10 positive or negative words. So out of 10, 5 of them came back within 2 to 17 seconds with over 90% capacity reached. So something significantly ignited Vinny's brain when he was channeling. This is interesting. So the spirit is coming through Vinny, and the spirit is hopefully, well, we can only go on by spiritually, is getting affected through, or channeling through Vinny, affecting his brain, or vice versa, or whatever, is being aware, conscious of those words between 2 to 17 seconds. The electrical impulses on the brain was evaluated after the optimal peak had been reached in meditation and attention. The outcome of this showed that Vinny's brainwaves were mainly between 10 hertz high alpha to 70 hertz high gamma. He was alert with a heightened perception, and this occurred most of the time as he meditated. He was alert with a heightened. His attention recorded its highest point at the start of the experiment when Anthony asked for the spirits to step forward. So this is when it got his brain, when I asked the spirits to step forward. At this early stage, Vinny was probably attracted to what Anthony had proposed and conscious of what was happening. So he was coming to learn what was happening. Following the negative word of shock being said, Vinny's meditation capacity goes over and under 90% on 3 occasions. This is the only change throughout the brainwave device experiment, the EEG, the electroencephalogram, whatever we call it in long ways. I think that's it. This is interesting. And now I'm saying shock a lot now. So this is what's coming up on the seances. Vinny's brain is going in and out, going high and up and down, over 90%, which is high. So he's being alert to that word shock, which he doesn't know was mentioned on the board earlier on. Now, it could be just reaction to the word, but why are we getting shocked? Why was that used as a negative word by Spirit of Kira on a talking board? Why is Vinny's brain reacting to it? It's all interesting there. First time it shoots up pretty quickly, 3 seconds after the word had been spoken, straight up after 1, 2, 3, goes. It's straight up there. The brain reacts quickly to the word. The variation and rising and falling is quite significant. Also, it looked as though, just as the negative word fiver was said, that Vinny's delta, theta, high alpha, low beta, high beta, and high gamma brainwaves reacted to their maximum limit. So everything went off the brainwaves, off the scale. This is when the word fiver was mentioned. He could have been coming then in an altered state of consciousness. It could have been coming in and out. Finally, once the trigger words were completed, so we completed the trigger words you might have seen there, and there was it took about 7 minutes to complete the trigger words experiment, and then there was another 7 minutes. Finally, once the trigger words were completed, Vinny's potential of reaching over 90% meditation and attention rate had ceased. As soon as we stopped using the positive or negative words, his brain did not peak over 90% again. The experiment went on for a good few more minutes, even with Anthony asking several more questions. We could speculate that the trigger words have a place in stimulating activity in spirits. Still, the drawback could be that Vinny was aware and reacted to the random words, the trigger words that Anthony was asking, compared to the latter period of the experiment, when straightforward questions, for instance, for a name and a year, when I was asking for a name and a year, his brain didn't go off at all. There was the usual questions ghost hunters would use, so it didn't really spark any peak in the brain or any alteration. Were put forward. So we go on to the second talk about experiment. And now I'm going to talk about this fella. We all have them. I hope we all have them. It's the cerebrum. It's the brain. You might have been wondering what the words were coming in there. If you were listening there, Helen, Catherine, Brown, I know it might be a bit what we were asking there. It might be a bit unusual. What the words? Well, we had a diagram here. As you can see, it's the brain, and it's got letters and numbers. And we were asking various questions to how the brain is affected before death and after death. And this was the outcome. The second, I'm just going to briefly go on this, and then we'll go on to this last bit of the footage. The second talking board session was devoted to the cerebrum, brain, and how it operates in our daily lives with other realms and adjusts to alternative situations such as death. What we gathered from the spirit was that there were 5 areas of the brain where we can sense them, yet those regions of the brain are incapable of seeing them. When it came to the spirits, forcing objects to move on our plane, the number 1 was given special attention. We don't know if this was just one area of the brain or referring to the number 1 on the brain functional aerial model. The auditory association cortex, which is around here. I don't know if you can see it, folks. I'm going to take a bit of my brain away. So it's around here, the auditory association cortex. If the spirit was indicating one area, then maybe it was accurate. The motor cortex, marked W on the brain model card, is the main area of the brain involved in controlling voluntary movements of particular body parts. So here we go. So we got the motor cortex, which is around. Let me just see what the motor cortex, which is around this bit here of the brain, is used for voluntary movement, for like me doing this and picking it up and all that there. So to move objects on our plane, you need that. Although the premotor cortex, marked X on the model card, is also thought to be included in the selection of appropriate model plans for voluntary movements. So that was the premotor cortex. So that is, so just below it there. I think it's just below it there. Yeah, just below it, that area there of your brain. That's coloured. Yeah. But just below there. It's just very confusing, but the questions get a bit more interesting here. The spirit may have suggested only we can move objects in our world, not them. So it's up to our own illusion that we believe that we see them move. We asked if there was a part of the brain that shuts down the rest of the brain when we leave this realm. The answer was B, 3. The parietal lobe, which is, as you can see, it's a blue area. Here we are. We're going inside the brain. The parietal lobe here. This was mentioned by the spirit. Parietal lobe was marked as the letter B on the card. The parietal lobe is one of the 4 major lobes of the cortex, vital for perception and integration, including the sensing of things we touch, physical contact with the skin. So remember, we might be told in the hospital to always touch, hold the hand of a loved one, or even though they may have died. This might be the area that's still alive, still conscious. The position and movement of our parts, our body parts, proprioception, pain, temperature, and the sense of where our limbs are positioned. This is what this part of the brain is used for. As the heart stops pumping blood, it would be good judgment to think that the brain would die from top down, so the less blood is up the top. So you would think, why would that still be active after it's, why would that still be active at the top if there's less blood going, supply going? The parietal lobe is at the top of the cerebrum. Brain cells could be running out of their limited chemical stores near the brink of death. It could be that the parietal lobe sends feed signals for the rest of the brain to shut down. Since this is the first area of the brain to know what's happening around, it's like a computer. It knows there's something wrong, okay? or there are 3 sections of the parietal lobe that send a warning. It's probably satisfying to some that the area of the brain that is aware of pain and lack of blood supply recognizes and then initiates the process of ending one's life. So it knows what's happening. It's like saying, right, we've got to do something here. It's too much. I recognize pain, severe pain. It's time to act on it. This is what maybe the spirit is saying, like, you know, it's not foolproof, you know, just to be sure. Another question, the area of the brain in which the spirit could feel the pain in was the fornix. So the fornix is, let me just see where it is again. Fornix, you're over here. So this is the area of the brain. I'll be better on this one, yeah. Sorry. This is the area of the brain, the fornix. A white matter bundle located in the center of the brain. Its exact function is unclear, yet it might be important for memory recall, details of past events. If we are advocating the spirit's current fornix, then it's simply something that holds as a reminder in life and even after death. So the question was asked where to feel pain, and then it was remembering stuff after death. So, you know, it might be something like, remember, it might be ghost hunting, you come across spirits that know how they died or still feeling the pain after death. That's probably because they're using this area of the brain, if they're continuing using this as a non-physical object in the other world. We asked which part of the brain is utilized to move in and out of realms. The spirit specified H, which was the interferomatic adhesion. We didn't precisely relate to this to our brain. Who knows, as it could be the spirit's too. Now this is interesting, and this is interesting just as a science bit for your brain. The interferomatic adhesion, about 1 centimeter in size. It's a little brown dot. I don't know if you can see it there. It's inside. It might be in your brain. It might not. Connects both hemispheres, east and west, one side, the other side, right and left of the brain, and its function remains relatively unknown. The interferomatic adhesion, or intermediate mass, which is also its name, is absent in 1 of 5 people. This little brown spot is absent in 1 in 5 people. Sorry, yeah, I'm not doing a paranormal show, but this is like, this is interesting. This is absent in 1 in 5 people. Also, in females, it is about 50% larger than average. Could this justify why some of those who have passed away are unable to return to our world, or why 80% of us, whilst alive, are able to reach out to go beyond the veil? So this is why we could go in and out, because we got this little fella in our heads. It might be a suggestion. The temporal lobe was accepted as ineffective for detecting spirits. So the temporal lobe is all around here. This is the temporal lobe. Sorry, there, it's around the yellow bit. And you can see the temporal lobe. This is surprising, as this would include processing auditory information, particularly as the auditory association cortex, part of the temporal lobe around here, was later designated as a useful spot for sparking the consciousness in spirits. So, as paranormal enthusiasts know, electronic voice phenomena can be quite a common occurrence when out investigating. However, folks, how much speaking does a spirit do? Maybe we're not picking up as much as we should do. Is it lots more than we know? Are we only hearing and recording snippets of conversation or speech? It could just be this spirit's interpretation because it has the insufficiency of being able to chat to us. So it's unable to chat to us, but it's saying that's ineffective. The auditory association cortex in our realm. Yeah. So major could be the same lobe is used for perception. This is interesting. The same, you see the yellow bit there, it's in your head. The same lobe is used for perception, memory acquisition, and object recognition. So if this is useless, we are unable to sense, store information, learn from the surroundings, and perceive materials from the spirit world, in particular to see and touch a spirit. So it's hard for us to, there's something going around us at the moment. There's probably spirits all around me watching this, I don't know. But I'm unable, me personally, to detect where they are, because this is useless, apparently, in my head. I'll come to your question there, Alison, statement in 1 second. Now, nearly done with this. Other information to come through the bulb is that there are 6 regions of the brain that we use for dreaming, yet the spirit didn't want to declare where they were. Dreams naturally occur during 95% of the light sleep stage, rapid eye movement, REM, not the band. The posterior cortical hot zone, situated at the back of the brain, gets very active when we begin to dream. So it comes down to joint work by several areas of the brain, each offering control over some function. Lastly, we put forward the question about any area of the brain that sparks the spirit's consciousness. So what sparks their consciousness? Now we're going back to words mentioning shock and all that, you know. The planchette, the little device we put our fingers on, went to B and 1, which meant the parietal lobe. Back to the parietal lobe again, which is the blue bit here. Parietal lobe and auditory association cortex. I mentioned those 2 places that sparks their consciousness. They can hear, folks. They're using that, but it's useless here for me, but they can hear us. The parietal lobe, if we assume it's the last part of the brain, which we mentioned earlier, to be last part of the brain to be active and shuts down the rest of the body. If we assume the last part of the brain to be active before we die, is essentially unique in making the spirit aware in the afterlife, accompanied, so it's coming in from one end to the other, accompanied by the auditory association cortex, which is concerned with the memory and classification of sounds and understanding of languages, meaning, as spiritualists say, for many years, we're under one language, universal language for spiritualists. We could blah, 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 what we do there, we can understand it in, say, if we speak some language here, we'd be able to understand it in the next realm. The auditory cortex could serve as a significant purpose to how some spirits have the means to hear us. Its value may be more influence after we die. I just come to your question now. So that's Alison. Hi, Alison. I hope you're keeping well. Alison says, this is very interesting. However, 36 years ago, I had a near-death experience where I had a life review and was then snapped back into my physical life. With full memory of the experience, I do not feel it had anything to do with the processing in my brain. Yes, I know it's near-death experiences. It's I've had one myself there, and an NDE there, and it's all I can remember is traveling back to a different area where I used to live. You know, that's all I can remember. And I suppose, I don't know if it's the pain reacting, maybe it's the parietal lobe saying, right, we've got to do something here. Too much pain processed here. We've got to shut down. It's like a computer, I suppose, there, you know. I suppose it's like that, you know. But thank you, Alison, for commenting. So you might have heard there's some weird noises during the footage there as well. I'm just going to come to that quickly before the last bit of footage. Early on in the same experiment, amid the claps of thunder, rapid tapping was caught on video camera. These taps were potentially knocking sounds made on the floor from somewhere outside of the building. Subsequently, there was what seemed to be a frantic, hallowed shouting from people nearby. So if you look back on the footage later on, you notice that there is hallowing from people nearby. Maybe it was raining. What seemed to be frantic, hallowed shouting from Maybe it was raining heavy and they were desperately seeking shelter to go inside another building in the area. Could have simply just been people knocking on the door outside in another area of the town, just looking to try and get in from the heavy rain, because it was wet out there. It was thundery there, as you can see. So I think that's that bit. So I'm going to just go on and put my brain down. I'm going to show you the last bit. So this is the last bit. This is where we did the separations vigils. So it gets a bit more isolated a little bit there. We did an identity test. We get to see what Kira looks like. So here it goes. Headphones may be essential.
somebody right now, please touch the black box on the table.
There's a blue light.
Is there any light in that? There's no big.
Is it just a red light?
It's a red light. If that was you.
Is there anybody on the staircase?
All that's great. You're more than welcome to try and touch the black box again here on the table. Is there any? Can you try and make it turn the different colours, or you can light it up, or create different sort of colours on the both sides of this black box? Did you work? Did you work here at the time, or did you work on the land or anything like that? Working on the land, were you a farmer's wife by any chance? Do you want to leave your spouse? Please light up the other colours if you want to really leave your spouse.
You're making it hot, Kira. Sorry, folks. So yeah, that's the end of the investigation. I've just got to go through that last few bits there. Neve, I was going to say happy birthday, but good night, and thank you for tuning in there, Neve, and Stuart there, and Back in Time Paranormal Investigators, and we'll check in with you soon there as well. So this is the last bit. This is the face. We got through the identity test, and unusual. So this is most probably the same spirit that was in attendance for the third talking board session involving the identity test. It's the same spirit because it gave its name as Kira as well. And it's the same spirit that was in during the first talking board spirit, the same spirit that is allegedly might be the White Lady, the same spirit also that may have come through Auntie, same spirit as well that gave the positive and negative words. The year had changed, though. In the space of a few hours of the investigation, the time progressed to the year 1865. In the third talking board session, the initial date 1856, which was in the first talking board session, might be wrong due to her puzzled nature and how the team looked when first making contact with them for the first time. So when she mentioned that we looked different. She gave her age as 20 years old. Her profile does look young with practically no wrinkles on the face. She has short black hair which looks scraggly. It was recorded that her parents were Irish and that she lived here in Cookstown. You could be forgiven for mistaking Kira's face for someone who was non-native, maybe of Oriental or Polynesian background. Now, this is interesting. Okay, we mentioned North America now. We mentioned coming a mystery about this lady coming over, an elegance but a mystery towards her eagle. She was sure of her Irish ancestry, yet couldn't remember her surname. So there could be a debate over who cared for her at a young age. It seemed likely that Kira came through in the first Sutra board session. You might have heard it when Vinny was talking about it earlier. When asking for a second name, the answer was Laka. In Hawaiian and Polynesian mythology, Laka is the name of several deities. The meaning of the name Laka means gentle, tame, and domesticated. This may have been the subtle message to where Kira may have originally come from. There is a Cookstown in County Tyrone. It is almost certain that the wording was an error. It may have been Crookstown, a small village in County Cork, about 30 kilometres from Kinsale. So this, folks, is we did the identity test. It's a piece of software used in criminal forensics, and it's a way you might see it there on Crime Watch or Crime Call there, a way of identifying a person. We used it there. We're using a talking board to see what kind of nose, the chin lines, the smile lines, the eye lines, the nose, hair, and all that. So the final part, this is separation vigils you saw at the end there. We had some separation vigils in the last part of the night. The REM pod during separation calling out 2 alerted us of possible high temperature changes within the first 5 minutes. Then it fell silent. It was switched on just before the session started, and the door to the attic room where the vigil was happening was closed by Jen not long afterwards. So the room was warming up. This would result in the room warming up. So the REM pod was adjusting to the environment, not to anything spiritual, possibly. It is suggested to allow 10 minutes for the REM pod to adapt to the surrounding ambient temperature. This would mean the corruptibility of the REM pod was immaterial, not only for the first 5 minutes, but also for the following 5 minutes of the calling out vigil. As you can see at the last bit of the footage there was what appeared to be an anomalous male voice that spoke on the biannual sound recorder. Vinny was in the same room, the main hall, as the recording device, yet he wasn't talking at that exact moment the voice was picked up. In reality, Vinny was hushed largely all through the separation calling out vigil, so he was quiet all through it. It may have come from another area as it was quite muffled. So there's a voice there. You look back on the footage there. There's a voice there. Very much. It's not me. It's not Sinead. It's not Jen. It's a male voice there. It's kind of mumbled. It's not clearly what it said. One probability is that it came from me in the room above, the attic room, but the voice was fairly different to mine. And it sort of barges in on Sinead, who was with Anthony, asking a question. So Sinead was asking a question. The other solution is that it may have originated from a man walking past the Temperance Hall in mid-conversation with a person, either with him or on the phone. So somebody from outside of the building could be saying something, and we're picking it up on the recording devices there. That's one explanation as well. During Jen's separation calling out vigil on the stairs, a small, bright, vertical, straight line could be seen at the top of the landing, near or on the wall. It could have been a reflection on the spider's web. It could be spider's web there from a light source outside of the building. So car headlights were seen flashing in through the windows of the stairs. It is unlikely a fault with the video camera, so we're more or less certain it was down to the thrown back of a surface of light. So light reflection coming from somewhere else onto the object caused that little, you see a little picture there, slow down the footage, there's a little line, it's like about that, I don't know, so you can see it above Jen's right shoulder. Folks, that's it. That's a look. Thank you for being here for the 2 hours. The next show, we'll be talking to Tom Riley, and he will be speaking about Oliver Cromwell. Gotta love or hate him. Cromwellian Ghosts of the UK and Cromwellian Ghosts of Ireland. That's on the next show coming up in a few weeks' time there. Thank you, folks. If you have any questions, feel free to put them forward to us there. This is just a little bit of a different episode to show what we've done in the past few months ago there. I hope you liked it there, and hopefully some of the information that I've come across things that you found interesting, or might want to pass it off there as well. So up to you yourself there. Hi May, how you doing, sis? There, May from Back in Time. Thanks, guys. No worries, sis. I hope you had a great time in Duckett's Grove last night. There, going in and out of the rooms there, hopefully not like Scooby-Doo there. God, that's spooky there, Duckett's Grove. That's it, folks. I won't see you next time. I'll see you in the near distance. Goodbye for now, Slangerfall. Look after yourselves. Bye-bye for now. See you in a few weeks. Bye-bye.